Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so honored to be here. So over the last couple of years, about 3 years now, I've been helping with Congress understand the implications of BRICS. Who all knows what BRICS is? Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's fantastic. And in light of the last couple of months, obviously President Trump has made it a very big focal point of trying to put the tariffs. And let me tell you something about how, kind of my background. I manage hard assets for people around the world. I've been doing it for almost 40 years. Have a family office. We have about 18 people. A lot of people there are fact checkers, making sure things are done right and said right and obviously positioned right. And the one thing that we realize after all the years we've been in business is if your currency goes south, that takes the country down. That is the #1 national security risk. So I've had the pleasure of doing a lot of meetings with members of Congress in both intelligence communities and agencies. And what we found was the BRICS, when Obama took office, he was a weak president. He did not have the backbone to stand up to what at the time was the organization of Brazil, Russia, India, of course, China and South Africa. And we've been following this for about 10 years, but in the last 3 or 4 years, it's become significant. The dollar has gone from a 90% daily use to 49% in the last 50 years. In fact, we're going to release a report here in about 2 weeks. It's now the 6th, not the first, most used reserve asset. Euro's 1, gold's #2. In fact, in less than a year, gold will be #1. It'll be the reserve currency of the world. And the BRICS have weakened us. You had Obama for 4 years. This guy was as weak as it gets. And then Trump comes in and it slowed BRICS down. In fact, there were some reversals. We get Joe Biden in and they accelerated. And that's the reason why when Trump won, I was like, okay, this is a good day. Because not just for employment or GDP. If you don't have a currency, none of that matters. Okay, go to South America the last 20 or 30 years, see how well they've done with that currency down there. The only buddy that got it right was Argentina lately. What did he do? He strengthened the currency by cutting the debt. That's another thing. And everybody talks about social media being propaganda. It is. TikTok, it's not good. There's not a member of Congress that's even, or staff members, and they pretty much told me too, I had to delete that app. I had it for about a month playing with it. I was like, ooh, this is addicting. The propaganda that China has in this country and is around the world is incredible. And they were able to accelerate the BRICS. Here's some stats. My background is physics. So I'll give you some statistics. 65% now of all commodities that the BRICS handle is in non-dollars. That's up from 0% 12 years ago. 65% of the daily commodity transactions. We lost the petrodollar. Not completely, but we don't have an agreement with OPEC. Now, Saudi Arabia was very clever in not having officially joined BRICS, thinking, okay, maybe if Trump wins, we're going to renegotiate here, which is smart. I would have done the same thing. But at the end of the day, you still have enough countries that are now 21 countries strong in this BRICS nation. Trump's going to have to literally break it up. He has to break it up. We got to get back to #1 reserve asset, not #6, and we got to get above that 50 percentile. Because if not, the interest rates are going to keep going. We've mathematically, and many of you may know Congressman Warren Davidson, him and I, chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, gave a presentation about 3 months ago now, I think, where we actually showed that at the rate we're going, we actually mapped out when the default will happen on the long-term treasuries. You will see a default. And so we're going to have to, as Elon Musk said, we're going to have to slash and burn spending because the BRICS have weakened us. We're now having to pay more on our debt to get it bought. In fact, the 30, the 20, the 10s, the 7 and the 5 years, nobody will buy them. That's why we do short term. Yellen finally figured out within 6, 8 months of taking office as Secretary of Treasury, she came to Biden and goes, no one wants to buy the debt. Well, sell the short term debt. Okay, 5%. Just so you know, we've had about $9.8 trillion. And this is all part of the BRICS. By not using the dollar, you don't have a demand. So it means your assets that are based in dollars don't get bought and nobody wants them. So this is a problem. And when Yellen went to Biden, she says, you know, no one's going to buy the long term. He says, sell the short term. She says, yeah, but that'll weaken us. Well, who cares? Well, we're not going to have to worry about that today. We got 4 more years after the first term. He literally talks like this. It's no big deal. He has such disrespect for this country. It's a disrespect to be that corrupt. So the BRICS have accelerated their plan. And we're coming out with this report in a couple of weeks. We'll be sending it to members of Congress, both in the Senate and the House, and we're just waiting for some of the appointments so we can get up to some of the secretaries and positions. But it actually shows that we're gonna have to have austerity measures. So I'm just preparing people. You're gonna see some higher interest rates. You're gonna see, and I will give you this, and I hate to say this, but I'm in the gold business. The last 4 years has been really good. But remember, there are two barometers within the economy. I learned this in studies. One is gold. Gold only goes up before a catastrophic event. And interest rates, if bonds aren't being bought as a safe haven and rates are going up, that's bad. We've never had this type of a perfect storm in the history of the world. There was a economist, I wish I could remember his name, but he wrote a really good paper about 2 months ago. And he said, it was right before the election, so maybe 3 months ago. He said, if Trump wins, he'll be handed the worst world economy in 500 years. We have $400 trillion in world debt and a little over quintuple trillion in long-term liabilities. The US alone has almost $200 trillion in long-term liabilities. You can't pay it back. You can't. So the question is, how do you bundle it up? Well, we're gonna find out real soon, because this is a problem, and President Trump is so right on the money, so right on the money. The reason why he came hard on those tariffs was we got to get that dollar back to that #1 status. It should be anyway. We are the best economy. We're the smartest people usually in the room. For some reason, though, there's been some dumb people elected to office that didn't share that same philosophy as that America first. But we're going to get that back. So I would tell people, when you're voting for people from the local level, from the school board to the White House, remember, it's not just conservative, it's capitalism. It's constitutional people that we want to have in there. So you don't have to be conservative. I mean, if you want to be liberal on social issues, great, but you better be damn well fiscally responsible, because fiscal is what keeps the house and the bills paid, okay? And if you don't have any of the green, as we used to say where I grew up, how are you going to be pillars of great things if you're broke? So we have to strengthen the currency by doing good fiscal policy and limiting the amount of idiots that get up there and send $300 billion to Ukraine. I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking for my paycheck. I mean, my family came from Eastern Europe. I didn't get no check. You all get any checks? I didn't get no check. So I don't know where the hell that money went to. And I'm sure when Biden gets out, I'm sure some of that money will be coming right back to his bank account somewhere. Who was I talking to the other day? They said, yeah, Biden's going to go from no money to $100 million. I mean, they handed this stuff out like it was Christmas every day. Where do you think that went? That's our money, okay? And it weakens us when we give that away. So the BRICS, I mean, if I was China right now, I'd be like, go Joe, because that's the problem. Now with Trump in, I think President Xi Jinping is thinking, oh dear, it's not gonna be Kung Pao chicken every day anymore. This is the real deal. This guy is the real deal. So I always said, if Trump can negotiate with the Teamsters and all the unions in New York to build buildings, these foreign policy people are going to be easy. So we should thank God that Trump got in, because if not, can you imagine Kamala Harris negotiating that table? Okay, now I grew up in the hood, and I can tell you this, I'm not going to send the least weakest person. You send the strongest. And that's what we got. We got a real warrior here. So I'm grateful for being here. I appreciate your time. What? Break? Oh, this is Catherine. She's my executive director. I don't know. I'm better at signing. Anyway, but I'm grateful for being here. Thanks to Albert and everybody. And you were right on the money, man. That liberalism is nothing but atheism wrapped in social justice. That's a bunch of BS. You don't want to mess with that stuff. So with that said, I appreciate it. I know we want to get to lunch here, so that's my take on BRICS. If you want to go to my website, the report will be out in about 2 weeks after congressional leaders see it, but it's bmcham.com. You're welcome to go there. We'll have it available in about 3 to 4 weeks. Thanks.